The bell rings, signaling the end of another boring day at school. Students start to make their way to their lockers to get their stuff for the weekend. Some students stayed behind to practice for the upcoming winter dance. The boy with the red hair grabs his things quickly, eager to go home and get out of this godforsaken place. He walks down the hallway with his head held high, trying to ignore the snickers and whispers of the other students. He had his headphones in, blasting music to drown out the sounds around him, but no matter how much he tried to ignore them, he couldn't help but feel their eyes burning into his skin. He walks outside where a group of boys were waiting for him. They surround him, blocking his path. One of them, a tall, lanky boy with a mop of brown hair, steps forward. Well, if it isn't the little Stickboy, he sneered. What are you doing here? You don't belong outside. Another one of the boys, a short, stocky boy, punches him in the gut. He doubles over in pain, gasping for air. Leave me alone, please, he manages to say between gasps. I want to go home. The tall boy with brown hair laughs. You're not going anywhere. Not until we teach you a lesson. The other boy with dark hair and pale skin steps forward. Yeah, what he said? You're such a freak. No one wants you here. The red-haired boy tries to push past them, but they grab his jacket, pulling him back. Let me go. Please, he begs. But they just laugh at him. Oh, little Stickboy wants to play rough. All right then, the tall boy says, cracking his knuckles. And with that, they start beating him up. He protects his head and tries to block their punches, but there are too many of them, and they're too strong. He gets hit in the ribs and falls to his knees. Tears stream down his face as he looks up at them. Please, please, stop, he cries out, but they just keep punching and kicking him. Finally, when they're all done, he's lying on the ground, bruised and battered, his clothes torn, and his pride shattered. They leave him there, not bothering to clean up the mess they made of him. He stays on the ground for a while, too scared to move. When he finally gets up, he walks home alone, his head hung low, his shoulders slumped. He doesn't want anyone to see him like this. He feels humiliated, ashamed, worthless. All he wants to do is go home and hide away the pain. When he gets home, he takes a shower to clean himself up and puts on a fresh set of clothes. He looks at himself in the mirror and sees the bruises starting to form on his face and arms. He touches them and winces at the pain it brings. He hates looking like this. He hates feeling this way. He feels like he's nothing more than a punching bag for the other kids. Why can't they just leave him alone? He thinks to himself as he goes to bed. The next morning, he wakes up feeling worse than he did the day before. His body aches from all the beatings he took. He gets dressed and heads off to school, hoping that today will be better than yesterday. But he knows deep down that it won't. As soon as he steps foot into the school, he hears the snickers and whispers. He ignores them and makes his way to his locker. Throughout the day, he feels like everyone is staring at him, waiting for him to make a move so they could laugh and point some more. He just wants to disappear. He sits alone at lunch, eating the food he brought from home. He doesn't have any friends to talk to or hang out with. He's always been this way. He's always been the odd one out. He's always been the target. He feels like a freak. He wishes he could just disappear. As the school year drags on, things don't get any better. In fact, they get worse. The other students become bolder, targeting him more often and with more viciousness. It's like they can sense his fear and use it against him. He becomes a shell of his former self, hiding in his locker during recess and staying after school so he can avoid the other kids. He loses interest in everything, including his studies. His grades begin to slip and he doesn't care. What's the point of trying anyway? He feels like giving up. He feels like he's not worthy of anything. He feels like he's nothing. Then winter break arrives and he's grateful for it. He can finally get away from all the pain and suffering. He spends the holidays with his family, trying to forget about school and the torment he endured there. But even at home, he's not safe. His own brother and friends pick on him, making fun of his skinny body and lack of friends. They call him names like spaghetti arms and noodle legs. He feels like crying, but he holds it in. He doesn't want them to think he's weak. He spends most of his time alone in his room, playing video games and watching movies. He tries to lose himself in fantasy worlds, but the bullies at school are always on his mind. But as the days pass, he starts to feel a change within himself. He feels a newfound strength, a determination to be better, to be stronger. He realizes that he can't keep living like this. He has to do something to change his life. He decides that he's going to start working out, to start lifting weights, so he can become buff. So, when school starts back up, he won't be an easy target anymore. On the first day back at school, he walks through the halls with his chest out and his head held high. He doesn't care what the other students think of him. He knows that he's stronger now, and he's not afraid to show it. The other students take notice of his newfound confidence and try to provoke him, but he doesn't take the bait. He ignores them, focusing instead on getting to class. In class, he sits at his desk, listening to the teacher. He's still nervous, but he's trying his best to focus on the lesson. He knows that if he lets his guard down, the other students will jump at him. So, he stays alert, watching everyone's movements. After class, he runs to the bathroom to check himself out. He looks at his reflection in the mirror and sees a changed man staring back at him. He's not the same skinny, awkward boy he once was. He's now buff and confident. A smirk appears on his face as he thinks about how the other students will react when they see him like this. He walks out of the bathroom and sees the other students staring at him. They've never seen him like this before and they don't know how to react. He ignores them and walks away. He can feel their eyes burning into his back, but he doesn't care. He's used to it. At lunch, he sits with a group of popular kids. They're surprised that someone like him would want to sit with them, but they don't question it. They just welcome him and include him in their group. He eats his lunch and jokes around with the other kids. He feels accepted, valued, important. For the first time in his life, he feels like he belongs. As the weeks pass, he continues to work out and his confidence grows. He becomes one of the popular kids at school, the ones who everyone looks up to and respects. He even starts dating the most popular girl in school, the one who all the other girls want to be like. One day, he sees the other students staring at him. He knows what they're thinking. They're wondering how he became so popular, so successful. He just smiles and shrugs. He doesn't know any more than they do. But he does know one thing. It's because he became buff and rejected his crush, the most popular girl in school. He tells the story of how he was bullied and how he became stronger because of it. He tells them about how he was picked on for being skinny and how he used that as motivation to become buff. He tells them about how he was rejected by his crush and how that fueled his desire to become successful. The other kids listen intently, hanging on every word he says. They see him as a role model, someone to look up to. And he knows it. He uses his popularity and influence to help others, especially those who are being bullied. He knows what it's like to be the underdog, and he doesn't want others to have to go through the same pain he did. He becomes a leader, someone who inspires and motivates others to be their best selves. And it all started because he became buff and rejected his crush.